Welcome to another R video. Today we are looking at how to do some text filtering in R. So we are going to be using two different packages. First one is Friends. So Friends package has a data set with all of the transcripts, and we'll have a look at that data in just a second. Second one is Tidyverse. So let's run both of these. If you have not yet installed them, go to packages, hit install, and you can then install packages you don't have. Let's take a look at this Friends data. So here is our Friends data. We can see 67,000 observations, 6 variables. Let's take a look. And what we can see is actually the transcript. So line by line, what got said, who said it, season, episode, scene, and utterance. So that's like the order in which things happened. We can see that there is also things like scene directions where they perform an action rather than say some words. So we have our Friends data. Let's start by having a look at all of the times that the famous phrase "on a break" was said. So the way that we are doing this is we're taking the Friends data, and then we are filtering, and we're filtering for this phrase "on a break." The way that we do this is by using grep. So if we jump into the help, we can have a look, and there's a few different grep functions, but for what we're doing here, grep is the one that we want. We just need to give it the phrase and the variable that it appears in. So let's run that, and we can see that "on a break" was actually only uttered 15 times. You might think that it was more than that. We can see the different speakers that said it, when it happened. So season 3, season 4, and then just periodically they seem to bring it back. So that was "on a break." Another pretty famous one, "how you doing?" So when we search for this, that apostrophe is important. Otherwise, we get a whole lot of people just saying "how are you doing?" in terms of "how are you?" as opposed to the famous Joey phrase. So again, we are going to use grep. This time I'm showing you two different ways of going about it. So the first line, we're using our square brackets, and we're using this as a filter with those brackets. This is how we would do it in base R. So not using the filter function from the Tidyverse. So we can run that, and we can see again, actually not uttered as many times as we might have thought. First appearing season 4 a couple of times, and there's that famous one, "this is how I do it, look at the woman and look in her eyes and say, 'how are you doing?'" And then we can see the various different other times where it has come up. Looks like number 11 here, probably actually not quite the phrase that we're looking for. Monica saying it, and it just happens to be that same phrase. So it's a good example actually of something where we might need to do a little bit of extra filtering, being careful. If we'd search for "how are you doing?", put the G in there, we'd get a different set. So that context can be pretty important. And so we've got it there. We then could do exactly the same thing using filter instead of using the square brackets to filter our data. And if we run that, we can see it gives us exactly the same. So moving down to just a couple more examples. So another thing that they seem to say quite a lot, or in my memory they did, was "hey." So let's have a look how often "hey" got said. A lot. So there's the first 10, 3,500 more rows. And "hey Paul," "hey Phoebes," "hey Monica." Yep, that is certainly one that happens a lot. But suppose we wanted to see where someone just said that. That was all they said before someone else took over. So not even "hey" with a Paul, but just "hey." We can use these icons here as characters, the caret and the $sign, to indicate start and end of a string. So if I search for "hey" like this, it is going to give me hey with nothing else. So I search for that, and we can see that that has only happened twice. So Ross said hey, and everyone else replied hey. If you've watched Friends, you might even be able to picture that particular one. Or the emphasis on how he said it, I think, makes all the difference. We can see the utterance 5 and utterance 6 from the same episode, so that was a said and then a response. The next thing that we are going to look at is just an example of how not to use this. So far I have been searching the text variable, so the things that actually got said, for particular phrases. But let's suppose that I wanted to search for everything said by Joey. So I got my speaker variable, there's Joey, and if I just learned about grepl, maybe I go, hey, let's use grepl. I'm going to search for Joey in the speaker, and you can see here I'm saying don't do this, and we do it, and we go, looked okay, looks like it did the right things. What could have gone wrong there? And what could have gone wrong is that maybe there are speakers called Joey, but it's not the Joey we're interested in. So the way that we should be doing that filtering is just with filter and just saying speaker equals Joey Tribbiani. And if I run that one, we can see we've got these 8,161 more rows. Come back up to that last one. Hold on. That's not the same number of rows there. So there's another, not quite 200, not quite 100. There's another number of rows, the difference. So that search there for Joey did not give me the same as this filter for Joey Tribbiani. So let's have a look at why that went wrong. I'm going to use table with a Y. In order to do that, I need one more package called janitor. So we'll run that one. And so let's take a look. And so what we can see is that actually hidden in amongst the speakers, whilst there was 8,000 instances of Joey Tribbiani, there was Joey's co-star, Joey's date, Joey's doctor, Joey's grandma, Joey's hand twin. There was a whole lot of others that had between 3 and 23 lines. And this is actually a good example where even if I had filtered with a grepl of Joey Tribbiani, if I had not cut that off with the $, it would have given me Joey Tribbiani Sr. as well. So this is a good example of where we should not be using our grepl. If we're looking for an exact match, then generally an exact match of a whole phrase or whole word or whole statement, we just filter like this instead. So that's just a little tip of what not to do. But if we come back up, we can see pretty interesting. If you are a fan of Friends, you might like to go back, do some searches for particular things. It can be quite a nice little data set for doing a bit of experimentation with things like text mining and processing text. Since you have something where it's fairly recognizable, you can think of things you might want to search for, whether it's phrases, could even probably be a little bit of sentiment analysis, things like that, and have practice, and it's all just there, just using that library Friends to get access to the data. So I hope this was helpful. This is a really nice way to be able to sort through and filter on our different kinds of text phrases. Actually, the one thing that I can mention on top of that is if we wanted to do a search and instead of including a particular phrase, we wanted to exclude it, then we could just put a exclamation mark in there. So the exclamation mark is going to just be a not. So instead of searching for on a break, searches for everything which is not on a break, so it would give us everything else instead. These particular examples I've used aren't really particularly conducive to a not, but perhaps you were filtering, maybe you had something like emails and you were filtering out the spam. Then you might use a series of grepls with not to be able to search and filter out particular spam phrases or something like that. So hopefully this was helpful. Please give me a like, subscribe if you don't already, and I will be back soon with more useful R videos.